With us being in a bit of a dead period in the NBA world, having arrived at the All-Star break, there are no games played until Thursday. Because of this, yesterday I began my biannual player rankings by position, which I believe is an important thing to do because every year so many things change consistently, so updating lists like this is vital to stay up to date on. We started things off with the point guards in the last video, so if you missed that, be sure to go watch that after you watch this one, but naturally today we'll be moving on to the shooting guard position. We'll be ranking the 10 best shooting guards in the league right now, along with a few honorable mentions, and one thing I want to make clear is that because of how many good point guards there are in the league, I took any player that plays a good amount of both point guard and shooting guard and included them today on the shooting guard list, just so the shooting guard position can have a good bit of talent and not be lacking when compared to the point guards. Before we start though, I want to thank Prize Picks for sponsoring this video. Prize Picks is the perfect service for all of us basketball fans here because when you're involved, it makes watching games every night so much more fun and engaging. Basically, it's an application that provides you with lines on all kinds of individual player props, such as points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers made, amongst others, and you simply have to choose whether you believe they will record over the set amount in the line or under the set amount in the line. Make your selections, wager however much you want to, and if your picks hit, you can win some big money. Usually I would be making some picks of my own right now, but because it's the All-Star break and there are no games, I'll instead emphasize that Prize Picks is not just for basketball, because it has every professional league to choose props from, so if you're a football fan, a baseball fan, a hockey fan, or anything else, you can too play along. If this sounds at all intriguing to you, then go use the link down in the description of the video to sign up today, and use promo code REFERENCE to receive a 100% deposit match bonus up to $100. Once again, thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. Before we get into the top 10, we'll start with a few honorable mentions that just missed the cut, and the players that fall into this category are Terry Rozier, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Desmond Bane. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is probably the closest one to breaking into the top 10, but he's struggled shooting the ball this season on the lowly Thunder, and he's missed a good bit of time due to injury, so he remains on the outside looking in. Desmond Bane is one of the league's biggest breakout players this season, and his three-point shooting prowess, along with his growth as an overall scorer, have been vital to the Grizzlies' success. Then Terry Rozier is continuing to be a strong secondary scoring option in the Hornets' backcourt, shooting threes at a high volume and reliably coming through in big moments. Now, to start with number 10 and work our way up to the top spot on this list, we have Anthony Edwards of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Edwards is one of the most promising young players at this position and should continue to shoot up this list over time as he continues to grow. He's averaging about 22 points per game, helping the Timberwolves fight their way back into playoff contention, and his unreal athleticism and three-level scoring have been shining this year. Next up at number 9, we have CJ McCollum of the New Orleans Pelicans. McCollum got traded to New Orleans before the trade deadline this year, and it breathed some new life into his career. He was having a decent season by his standards in Portland, but since his arrival in New Orleans, he's been one of the hottest players in the entire NBA, averaging about 28 points per game, shooting 51% from the field and 43% from three since the trade. So even though it's unlikely that he keeps up that massive of production throughout the rest of his time there, it does tell me that the change of scenery will do him a lot of good and definitely belongs on this list. Next up at number 8, we have Bradley Beal of the Washington Wizards. After a season where he was in the scoring title race, he came back down to earth this season. He's now averaging about 23 points and 6.5 assists per game, but his three-point percentage has only been at about a 30% clip. He struggled to get on the same page with backcourt mate Spencer Dinwiddie. The team has been painfully mediocre this year, his contract situation is still hanging over the Wizards' heads, and now he's likely going to miss the rest of the season after getting surgery to recover from an injury. Up next at number 7, we have Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown has always been a reliable number 2 guy for the Celtics over the last few years, and his production remains strong and consistent. He's putting up about 24 points and 6.5 rebounds per game, but compared to last year when he was named an All-Star, his shooting efficiency splits are a bit down this year. The Celtics as a whole also started the season a bit slowly, but over the last month, they've arguably been the hottest team in the entire NBA, and Brown stepping his play up on both ends of the floor is a big reason why that is. Next up at number 6, we have Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets. Irving was easily the most difficult player to rank on this list because of how peculiar his situation is. For one, I know many of you view him as a point guard, but having been playing alongside James Harden, who dominated more of the ball previously, and now he'll be playing alongside Ben Simmons, he has evolved into more of a shooting guard. Secondly, in the past, he's definitely proven to be deserving of a better ranking on this kind of a list, but this year his individual production is down from what it used to be, and on top of that, he's literally only a part-time employee this season until further notice, so I couldn't in good faith rank him higher than any of the players left that will be on this list. Up next at number 5, we have Donovan Mitchell of the Utah Jazz. Mitchell is one of the most explosive scorers in the league right now, but we're now at the point where you have to look heavily into who brings the most impact and who helps their team win the most, because of how close this tier of the shooting guards are. Unfortunately, the Jazz haven't been able to replicate their top seed performance from last year, and individually Mitchell is having a slightly down season from a year ago, so he comes in at number 5, behind a few other guys doing a tiny bit more for their squads. Next up at number 4, we have Zach Lavine of the Chicago Bulls. Lavine and the Bulls have emerged in a massive way this season, and even though the addition of DeMar DeRozan and his unbelievable performances have gotten most of the attention with this team regarding their success, you cannot ignore how crucial Lavine's shot making has been for them. He's making about 25 points, averaging about 5 assists and 5 rebounds per game too, and he's shooting 48% from the field and 40% from 3, making him one of the most efficient volume scorers in the NBA right now. Up next at number 3, we have Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns. He was the leading scorer for a team that represented the Western Conference in the NBA Finals last season, and now the Suns are looking even better than they did before. They sit atop the NBA with the best record in the league by a whopping 7 games, and Booker has been more at ease leading them in scoring and coming through time after time in crunch time, which is why the Suns have easily been the best clutch team in the league this year as well. Next up at number 2, we have Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat. Butler and the Heat are currently in first place in the Eastern Conference, and he gives them such balanced production across the board on both ends of the floor. He's a disruptive and versatile defender, but he's also someone who gives them 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists per game, pretty much orchestrating the way the game goes. He's a weirdly poor 3-point shooter, but his value goes beyond the box score, and that's why he comes in ranked as high as he is today. And finally, the number 1 spot on this list of best shooting guards in the NBA right now is James Harden of the Philadelphia 76ers. Harden has fluctuated between the point guard and shooting guard position over the years, but with him now sharing duties with Tyrese Halliburton in the Sixers backcourt, we'll call him a shooting guard. Harden may not be scoring the ball at the historic rate that he used to be, but he's still statistically the best isolation scorer in the league by a wide margin, and he's the second leading assist man in the NBA, dishing out over 10 assists per game. Now that he's in Philadelphia, he's playing alongside the leading MVP candidate in Joel Embiid, and he should be able to plug a lot of the holes that the Sixers had in the absence of Ben Simmons this year. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below how you would rank these shooting guards. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.